Welcome to this year's Red Meat Updates virtual farm tour for 2026. Here we are at Riverlea Farming at Epping Forest. I'm Andrew Whipple.
I'm Andrew Archer.
And I'm Yannick Hauer from Muirs, and we're delighted to be sponsoring the 2026 virtual farm tour.
We've got Ben here today. I was just wondering if you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit.
Thanks, Andrew. My name's Ben Tate. I'm farming a mixed enterprise in Epping Forest. I consider myself a bottom dweller of the Golden Triangle. Get about 580 mils of rain. We're on a mixed soil type. We grow crops, seed crops, some vegetable crops. We have sheep and beef where we run a breeder finisher program, and we do some dairy adjustment in the winter. The home farm here is about 800 hectares, 2,000 acres, and then we have a smaller property, 140 hectares up the road and across the river, and a lease block in between the two. It's about 1,200 hectares, improved country.
And staff and employees?
So we have 4 full-time employees, and then during our busy season, which is irrigation and harvest, we get up to a total of 10.
And with that land, roughly would be irrigated to rain-fed or?
Be about 750 hectares of irrigation by pivot, lateral and traveller. We've developed most of what we can. The ground that's not developed is either swamp, bush or a floodplain.
Yeah, I understand, Ben, you got a bit of a unique history and grew up in a different area, and I was wondering if you might go into that a little bit.
Well, everyone comes from somewhere, Andrew. I'm a Kiwi. I grew up in mid-Canterbury, near Ashburton. My kids were the 4th generation born in Ashburton. I did about 8 or 9 years of irrigated farming in New Zealand before we moved. We were on quite an expensive scheme. We were growing good seed crops and trading a lot of lambs and doing a reasonable job, but fixed costs were just too high. We had a lot of debt and our water was expensive.
What year roughly, Ben, did you move over here, and what did you walk into?
We took possession in February 2018, so it's just gone 8 years. We had pretty good sheep infrastructure, but it had only ever farmed merinos, and so if we wanted to farm finished crossbred lambs, we just didn't have the infrastructure to keep them in. A lot of this was blank space where I never really wanted to farm dry land. The farm does have a significant water licence, so we were able in the first year to put 18 new spans up, increase our irrigatable area from the existing water licence. Some of that went straight into potatoes the first spring, but the first winter, like, our only cash flow was from cattle on adjustment, both beef cattle on weight gain and dairy cows on a per head per week. We seeded a bunch of forage brassicas and cereals into the stubbles, and by July 2018 we had about 2,000 cattle here on adjustment behind single wires. Since then, most of the farm has been re-irrigated. We still use some existing main lines. There's not many spans here that haven't been replaced.
Yep.
Fair to say when you first turned up on the farm and finding the limitations of your irrigation and then how you proceeded to maximise what we see today.
The farm had one modern pump shed that we were able to add to and utilise the infrastructure already there. The place had about 20 electric drive spans in various states of function. All the mainline infrastructure that was in the ground we still use.
So take us through the numbers. How many meg do you have? How many spans do you have now?
I think the span counts it's at 76. Over 3/4 of them we've bought new in the last 7 or 8 years. We have 4 lateral move machines, which all have remote start generators, and they all walk on GPS guidance from corrected signal on a base station on the farm. And so the technology has really improved a lot there. So now it is a full-time job for a guy irrigating through the season. We have another 5 hard hose machines, which we normally only run 4 at a time. With the 4 laterals that are automated, you've still got to move the hose, mind you. There's another 7 pivots that are automated, and they all have a SIM card in them and respond on the same app.
Yep. Ben, the beef operation, can you tell us how your breeding program worked and how they fit in?
This year we have 240 Angus cows. There's a third of the herd, including our replacement heifers that we join to Wagyu bulls. and then the rest of them to Angus bulls, where we will select our heifers from them and grow the rest of the steers and heifers out to slaughter weights. They predominantly run on our marshy country, which is improved pasture that sits between our boundary on the southeast river, and we have a flood levee wall. So there's about 400 acres down there of cattle country. Throughout the year, when we need to control vegetative growth stages and seed crops, we bring cows and calves back up. So they do a bit like our sheep, they can freeload a bit off the arable enterprise. The rest of the herd are joined back to Angus. Historically, we have been selling calves in the autumn, but we're moving more to a finishing model.
And obviously, we pointed on it, you're not a sentimental farmer. You're pretty happy to trade your genetics.
It's easier to buy other people's expertise. We are spoilt for great cattle around the place, and lots of producers take so much pride in what they grow. And the net result of that is the good farms to buy calves from. And so if we need to boost numbers, or if we destock because we run out of feed or run out of cash, it's not impossible to build your herd back up quickly. There's an opportunity cost in being sentimental about your stock, because we are a trading enterprise, and when you get to dizzy all-time heights, why not take the cash? We've done that, but perhaps every year I am getting more precious about them now, I'm not sure.
So you're running yearling cattle on fodder beet.
Yep.
Can you tell us about the cost of that and the growth rates you're getting out of it?
The risk with fodder beet is it's expensive to grow regardless of whether you have a successful crop or not. And so it should cost 12 to 14 cents a kilo dry matter to grow, but you can shovel on those inputs and get it to yield 14 tonne when you're shooting for 28. And so I didn't have a great yielding crop last year, but the animals did particularly well on it. We had weaners on beet for 100 days and they logged 100 kilos of live weight gain.
Right, a kilo a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it meant that they didn't eat a blade of grass until they were already 400 kilos and until it was after lambing. Now, if I'd wintered them by any other means, I don't think that they would have been far enough ahead in their live weight to not have to sell them before the next winter anyway, without another enterprise having to give. And so it's important that we grow a crop for them that doesn't have any risk that any other class of stock should have it. And so the year before, we didn't have any fodder beet, and we just met the market and sold our calves in the autumn cheaper than I would have liked. Our beet last year only yielded about 18 tonnes, which is really only 2/3 of a crop. But in saying that, the 100 weaners that we wintered on it, that put on that live weight, the weight gain per hectare was actually like a tonne and a half.
Right.
Which is 50% more than what I can do per hectare on a legume-based finishing pasture with fat lambs. And so I think if I can grow a better beet crop, say they're at 8 DSE, but they're putting on kilo a day, my gross and net revenue per hectare is way through the roof. And it's actually on our porous ground, because we choose to winter on the sand that would look like a desert if we didn't pull a hose over it. The next tricky bit is, well, where do you take them from 400 kilos to 600? And that's where we send them over the river to the other place. Autumn of 25, I thought this land backs onto the same river that we have a reasonable water licence out of. It was spare land. We were able to make an offer on that farm that was acceptable. The average soil type on the property over there we call Blackwoods, because we bought it from the Blackwoods. It's probably a better soil than what we've got at Fairfield. It's less variable, but it is more flood prone. And so beautiful soil for pasture and a red meat finishing enterprise, but it's never going to be a root cropping farm. We grow a little bit of crop over there, but it's more pasture seed with crops that can handle wet feet. We'll be killing steers off that property for greenhams that were born here the year before, probably in April, May.
They're the steers that were on the fodder beet.
That's right.
Finish the beet, go over into the pastures.
Correct, yep.
And put them to kill weight.
Yep.
Because you don't have enough going on, you also run a composite flock, prime lambs.
Yep.
Can you tell us how that fits in and what happens there?
Similar to our beef enterprise, where we just buy other people's good genetics. Then it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. For the last 4 or 5 years, we've been buying Cashmore Oakley composites. We've been joining them with mainly Dorset terminal rams, but some Southie and Charolais for ewe lambs, for a more appropriate size lamb for the maidens. Our ewe numbers are largely defined by our ryegrass area. We're crop farmers first. Our cropping enterprise needs these mouths to control ryegrass in its vegetative stage in the spring, which is why we lamb when we do. So we lamb in August, but I need maximum DSE load on ryegrass seed crops in September and October. And so an August drop for that works pretty well.
And finishing all lambs produced?
Generally speaking, we don't sell store lambs. We're more likely to buy in trade lambs. First draft from these August drop lambs it's always around the 10th of January. We don't kill anything at weaning. When the grass is locked up for seed around the end of October, we've got another couple of weeks before we start weaning, and the grass on the crop farm, it's usually the grass paddocks that were harvested for seed the year before that are destined to go to peas or potatoes. We get a couple more weeks there pre-weaning, and then we wean onto our finishing pastures, which are clover and lucerne, some chicory and lucerne.
So with your lamb finishing pastures and your trading, how many lambs would you be turning off a year?
Probably around 5,000. We breed 80% of them ourselves.
Yep.
I really am enjoying the EID tags because with the panel reader on the auto drafter, it doesn't often surprise you. It's a good reassurance that you're doing the right thing, or a timely reminder there's nowhere to hide if you know that.
And this is through tracking weight gains?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think we'll keep this home farm as a terminal operation, but on our lease block up the road and Blackwoods over the river, we could probably run a closed flock maternal policy there.
Yeah, take away the fluctuation of the market as well.
Yeah, that's right. 30th of June, all the terminal lambs have to be gone. Now, I've normally got them up to weight by then. We've really only got enough room on the farm in the winter for our pregnant breeders. We scan early enough that any ewe lambs that don't conceive, we will just kill them with the last of the terminals. For that late autumn lamb finishing, because we have broccoli in the crop rotation, the brock has been harvested and we can finish the lambs on that residue, which works pretty well. But yeah, the lambs have got to be gone, because the alternate, if they hang around, is to start grazing a fodder crop we've irrigated in the autumn for either our own black cattle or the dairy cows that are coming on adjustment. We just have to snap that off. And likewise, the dairy adjustment cattle have to be gone before the lambs start hitting the ground. Like, I really want them gone before we set stock our lambing paddocks.
All right, Ben, you've said yourself you're a cropper that runs livestock. Can you please run us through your cropping program?
Our grass seed area and our breeding ewe numbers are intertwined. So to hold our DSE loading where it is, it takes 200 hectares of ryegrass. No one wants to have 200 hectares of ryegrass to harvest all at the same time, so we grow a range of varieties with a range of lock-up dates and a little bit of spring sowing. And many of these ryegrass paddocks stay down as grass to lamb on the following year, which would lead into spring cropping like peas, potatoes,
Broccoli.
Yeah, well, the broccoli's transplanted into the pea stubble, so you get a couple of bites of the apple with that one.
And seed crops, not just grass seed?
I think we have about 400 hectares of arable crop, and half of that is the ryegrass for seed, and then the other couple of hundred comprises of carrot and beetroot seed, 30 or 40 hectares total of the veggie seed. And then we have a reasonable area of chicory for seed for the same seed companies that we grow the ryegrass for. The only cereal in the system at the moment are some seed oats, which they seem to have their place because they don't require as much water. Some good herbicide options with them, and you get your paddock back nice and early to go into some of these higher value crops like carrots and beet that need to be in the ground quick, smart, post-harvest.
It all seems pretty complementary within all the operations.
Yeah.
There has to be challenges.
Yeah, there are. Weeds are a bit of a challenge. In New Zealand we have more disease pressure in crop than what we do here, but here we have more weed pressure. That's where rotation's important, and rotation with livestock as well, because if you suspect chemical resistance and something's starting to flower that should have been dying as a volunteer, 3,000 hungry ewes can sort that out. They're a pretty valuable tool in the box.
The dairy adjustment, Ben, tell us a bit more about that, or starting off as being a cash positive part of it.
dairy grazing is something I had done before in New Zealand. The first year we had 1,500 dairy cows here from different herd sizes, different places. It was about the only class of stock that we could grow feed in the autumn and turn it into money without having any capital invested in the stock or needing to put them anywhere in the spring. It was very much part of my Kiwi culture to grow a feed crop for a class of stock, graze it once, utilise everything and be gone. But yeah, we still graze herd of about 1,000, which is just from one property. This coming winter will be about the 7th in a row we've had cows from the same farm. It makes the most out of our straw. So as a predominantly arable business, we are still a net exporter of straw. With that nutrient removal, the costs are very real. If we take a bale that's worth $180 a tonne post-harvest, you know, that's removed, that's exported from the property, you don't get that, the nutrient removal, you don't get that back. But if I can store that bale and feed it out to agistment cattle, it's worth more like $350 a tonne, but I retain my nutrients. We'll probably see quite a lot of value in the straw that we produce from our own crops and how we can utilise that with dairy grazing. With the dairy agistment job, you either truck the cows to the feed or the feed to the cows. There's lots of fodder now comes from the Northern Midlands and goes predominantly, well, to dairies all over, but predominantly northwest. We deal with some family farms and some corporate farms. I guess I took that as an opportunity to go out into the market locally with other mixed farmers whose area of mainly ryegrass seed crops has increased, and now they have a surplus of straw without a market for it. I'll go out and contract a tonnage, and then I'll go and find the tonnage within a network of local vendors within kind of 20-kilometre radius of the home farm here. So there's about 10 or 12 other farms that we basically sell their straw. We retain the cost of baling when we on-sell it.
Ben, so on each property, what are your main sort of pastures, sort of feed bases that you have?
We try not to feed irrigated feed to our ewes because they just don't earn enough for what that costs. But that's all different when you're trying to grow out a fat lamb. So we use legume-based pastures. I really like the clover lucerne mixture because it holds quality through the season. And on our mixed soil types, if the lucerne gets a wet phase or edge of a drain and drowns out, the clover holds its own. And I can really quarantine a paddock leading into ryegrass seed production with that species. To grow out the steers, we have some irrigated perennial ryegrass with a white clover mix, and we also use a lot of Italian ryegrass, both pre and post-harvest.
And then with your main focus on grazing management, where's that sort of lie?
Well, it's largely determined by what our growth rates are and whether we're backing ourselves in a corner or not. As long as we're building up cover in front of them, it's important for me to always have a plan for where every mob goes next, you know, right up to when they go on the truck.
Yeah.
And then there's never any surprises.
Do you have any figures around your stock loading throughout the year? Because it is a very unique system that you're running.
We would peak in the winter when the dairy cows are here, and that would be at about 23,000 DSE, but we would average 17,000 throughout the year, getting down to about 11 or 12 late autumn as we're banking irrigated feed for the winter that's coming. We just try and grow a class of feed, a class of stock. So there seems to be room for everything in what I think is a sustainable model. The rock star at the moment with the lamb schedule in the realms of $10 or $11, it's on these lucerne and clover finishing pastures. I crunched a few numbers the other day, and I reckon that on average, say it takes 110 days to get a weaned lamb up to a slaughter weight. Now we try not to kill anything under 56 kilos. That growth rate would be 220 grams a day, which is quite attainable, and there have been times where we've logged far more than that. So to work on an average on that improved feed at 200 grams, I don't think's unreasonable. But with that weight gain on today's schedule, that is a gross per kilo of 60 cents per kilo dry matter. Now if I compare that to the dairy grazing that we do, on that 12 kilo daily demand, if we have an adjustment rate of say $32 a head a week, that works out to be 38 cents a kilo dry matter. And so you think, well, why would you do that? Well, I've got no capital invested in them, and it's cash positive. They're here and then they're gone. Now, if I compare that to the composite ewes, we consider our composite ewes 2.5 DSE, which means even if they give you a lamb and a half a year, they are still eating very near a tonne of dry matter. It's like 912 kilos or something. Because we've historically been buying our replacements, it's a very real cost to quantify what that is, and that the wool is a deficit enterprise, that's a cost as well. So if I pull those costs back out, I haven't been successful in marking 150% yet. I've come close, but if our ewes give us 1.45 lambs a year, it's a gross per kilo dry matter of 20 cents. So we wouldn't want to be spending 14 or 15 cents on irrigated feed to gross 20. That's no good. But if they can freeload off that arable production, there's still a margin there. And if we didn't have the sheep, we would be reliant on going into the market to buy trade lambs for our finishing pastures. And there's risk there with control I don't have, which I do have in this model. So the beef finishing, it depends what the weaned calf is worth. But if you've bred the weaned calf, even if it's worth a fortune and makes your finishing look poor, you've still got the calf to sell.
Yeah.
So they work together well. Beef finishing on, say, an $8.50 schedule, that would gross around 37 cents a kilo dry matter. Very similar to the dairy grazing, and that's assuming 900 grams a day from weaning. The other little pressure check metric we look at is, okay, you do this on a spreadsheet. How many tonnes of meat did you grow divided by your irrigated hectares? If your assumption's there, miles off this, something's wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that we can grow a tonne of live weight to the hectare with sheep and beef finishing.
Ben, with plenty going on, obviously you're not doing it all yourself. Give us a bit of a rundown of your staffing numbers. Yeah, full-timers, and the good ones take the pressure off yourself.
We run a balance of impact players that come to work for the summer. With our seasonal staff, we had 5 this year, and 3 of them were Lincoln University students out of New Zealand. They always bring with them a desire to learn and earn. Their base level of knowledge is fair, and so we can pick them and send them on a rising plane. And they quite like Tassie because it's a different experience than going to drive a header in the Mallee or WA. We have a full-time stock person. She's Claire. She's passionate about her dogs. She loves moving sheep. She doesn't complain working in the yards all day. And then we've got a full-time man on the tractor, Travis. You'll have trouble finding anyone in Tasmania that has baled and fed out as many bales as this guy. Hugh, a large Scotsman, he can make irrigation decisions and set up a header and go spraying and go around with the agronomist if I'm not here. That's been great. We have a subcontractor that spends 3 days a week here who's a tradie. So he's a welder by trade and also 5/8 of an auto electrician. We have a great team at the moment. It's a bit of diversity, and look, for someone who's setting out for an agricultural career, I don't have any secrets. Like, I let him peek behind the curtains and tell him how much debt we've got and what our targets are and where we came from and where we want to be. I feel like if you're just honest with people, you can inspire them.
I know both you and Steph have come over from New Zealand, Steph being Canadian. Massive change. She's obviously an integral part of the business as well. How have you found Tassie life?
Yeah, she's a good woman to convince her to move twice. I don't reckon there'll be a third time. Yeah, Steph contributes a lot of thankless stuff behind the scenes. Steph helps in the sheep yards. She really enables this business with the administration by looking after payroll and accountant. You don't really know what it's going to be like until you live in the community, and we lucked out. We're surrounded by great people. We were met by neighbours that wanted to help. Found ourselves in a community of similar age people with an opportunity to farm that want to have a crack at it. It was easy to find like-minded peers in the community that have embraced both my wife and I.
You've kind of come over guns blazing, you've gone hard at it, built a pretty impressive operation. What's next?
Thanks, Andrew. It's important to me to be in a sustainable model. both with the crops that we grow, the livestock that we have. There's all that extra work is so necessary when you're developing, but what I'm looking forward to post-development is just farming, just hitting those metrics that we target and having a sustainable model, and that will ultimately free up some of my time to spend more with family and friends, explore Australia. I don't want to run as fast the next 8 years as I have done the last 8, but we've got to work pretty hard right now. You know, yes, we've got high production, but it's hard to run any faster when you're already running as fast as you can. There's room for some of our arable crops to catch up with inflation, because I think our costs are still ahead of that. If all that falls in line, just business as usual.
On behalf of the Red Meat Updates Working Group, I'd like to thank Ben for hosting us today, and I'd also like to thank Muirs for sponsoring the virtual farm tour.
Thanks, Andrew. Pleasure to show you all around, and thanks Yannick and Muirs for your continued support.